for those of you who have not joined us in a while, or if this is your first time, we send out a what we call a sit-in, or what some other people might call a sermon, and we send these out once a month about various topics to go ahead and give our members, our friends, and our students a chance to hear wisdom, hear practical applications of the techniques they're learning, and also to get a new spin on the things that life is hitting them with. This month, for September 2025, the topic was all about friction, and it was framed within the article, which is also going to be linked to this video, about the scripture where Jesus is talking to a man who is not well sitting outside of a famous pool called Bethsaida. And the man gives an excuse and says, I would like to be well, but I don't have anybody to put me into the water every time the water is stirred by the angels. And Jesus says, pick up your mat and walk. And that was a response to people that claim that they want or they need to be well will follow that up with action to jumpstart the case for themselves. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Mr. Joseph, to talk a little bit more about how friction is one of these techniques that we express that we are, one, capable, and two, ready to change.
Friction is a phenomenal tool. We're looking at what the script of life is, the path we walk, how it unfolds, karma, relationships, fate being how our personalities are affected by the environment we're brought up in, destiny, the things we're exposed to, that we see, that we hear, that we feel, experiences. It could be first person, it could be third person watching TV. That affects our destiny, like a child saying, well, when I grow up, I want to be a whatever, doctor, fireman, astronaut. Friction is one of the most valuable tools to help recognize the relationships in our life that seem offensive, off-standing, negative, people in your life that seem to be a pain in your ass. So why are these people in my life? Okay. What the universe is saying when you have friction from people in your life, like, I don't want to deal with these people. I don't want to be affected by these people. I don't want to be around these people. They're self-centered, they're narcissistic, they're this or that. These people enter into your life for an opportunity to recognize that they're reflecting something inside of you, something that shows up karmically. Now, karmic is experiences, cycle of experiences, life lessons. And life lessons are important, but the friction relationships are really going to either hold you back or create the opportunity for a quantum leap forward to amazing, incredible, and better. So we want to pay attention when the friction relationships come up with these negative people, because they're reflecting something inside ourselves. So when we have a friction relationship, we don't want to react to the person. We don't want to judge them. We don't want to try and get them away from us. We want to recognize, okay, this person's in my life. I don't like this person. And this person is reflecting something inside of me. Let me look at what's going on inside of me. And once I change me in relation to this person, that person will either become super nice or be out of there in a moment, because they are there unconsciously for this connection from the friction. They seek out the friction. You want to be aware of the friction and not seek it out. And when it comes up, you want to resolve that inside of yourself, at which point, as you just said, the friction will stop. They'll leave, because some people are only looking for that friction, that hype and drama in their life. Or in interacting with you, once your friction with them is gone, there'll be a peace around you. And this opens the door for the next level of friction you could have in your life. And we're all going to have, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 people in our life that have a lot of friction. And it's not every person's an asshole. There's going to be some people that really rub you wrong. Forget about people who come in and they have their own whatever hype, drama, internal stuff, or they're looking to be a psychic dumpster or an emotional dumpster, or to drain you, or to pity them so you drown in their sorrow with them so they don't go down their path of a stinky experience or stinky life alone. And I come across a lot of people like this. Then I think to myself, my God, who am I to deserve this wonderful person in my life, and how can I resolve it? And I've been doing this for 35 years, so I can identify and resolve real quick. And you watch a person change in a dime. It's really amazing, beautiful to watch. And it brings a lot of humility in life experience. So when people say you hold ego about certain things, trust me, I do not hold ego. I am an empty vessel, a doorway channel platform. I am nobody from nowhere. I'm a business card reader, just a guy, Joseph, just a guy. I'm nobody special. And all the abilities and all the things that I access, other people can as well. It may take a lifetime to do it, but they can. Friction is one of those tools that's incredibly important. We put together an article. It's really good, has a lot of fantastic information, and I always try to offer new insights that I've never talked about before. And this article has some of those insights.
I I want to back up a little bit. So, one of the things you talked about friction before with, again, people that we just can't stand, where they really ride up our ass in a negative way. And you talked about you resolve it for yourself and the issues go away. But one of the things that sometimes you take things for granted that seem very second place to you, but are maybe new concepts for other people. How can someone, one, who's a student, and then two, who is not a student, how can they utilize this concept that you're speaking of resolving something for themselves that they see in someone else?
That's a great question. And I have a hard answer for you. A lot of people, okay, so the hard answer I have for you is this: a little to the side. In the full spectrum of light, full 100% spectrum of light, the visible light is 10%. And then you have infrared light, you have X-ray light, you have all the other types of black light. And if we go to the idea before creation came into being, or creation came into form, or God said, let there be light, there was no light. There was no visible light. There was this infinite expanse of dark energy and dark matter. We call it nothingness. And when they look at now in recent science with the atom is 99.7% empty. And what fills that empty space? Well, not visible light, but invisible or dark light, dark energy and dark matter. So the source of all light that's out there, even visible light, is sourced from dark energy and dark matter. We see the visible light as a little pocket of light, of what everyone calls consciousness. Beyond that, into the darkness, it's without consciousness. So people in this little pocket of light, they utilize their imagination. And in your imagination, you can think anything in the world you want to think, and it's not going to have an effect on your environment. Thought. You can feel emotions, then of course it'll affect your body, it'll affect your immediate environment, your body, and the immediate environment around you, but it's not going to affect everything. So when I do the work I do, it affects my local community, it affects the entire planet, it affects the entire this dimension, time, and space. Because I'm not utilizing thought and I'm doing it outside of this pocket of consciousness. So for people who are held within this pocket of consciousness, which everything is, but they don't do what we do, which is to expand beyond this pocket of consciousness in its dark energy and dark matter. And that's where we hold space and then interact within. We call it a ratio technique or ratio perspective, where we exist on a fourth person perspective in the nothingness beyond this pocket of consciousness, and back in the in, where my physical body is, yours is as well, is first person. So it's either a 4-1 or a 3-1. There's a difference between the two on master levels.
I'm going to give
Okay.
just a brief little synopsis because that was a lot of information in a very short period of time, because we have to remember some of the people who are watching this may not be as versed in this. They're newbies. So basically, just to catch you all up in a quick 1 minute, is within our dimension of time and space, everything came from, people might call it the Big Bang or something else. That was an existence of pure darkness before light came into being. So we talk about existing outside of consciousness, which is returning back to that state of awareness, or how things were where everything was without form, without a vessel, without consciousness. We refer to consciousness as the things that exist within the light spectrum. This is the visible world that we interact with. These are the things, even spirits are usually within consciousness, because we can interact with them with one of our, either our 5 main senses or our 5 psychic senses. In order to escape what we call our system of fate, karma, destiny, and predeterminism, we have to rise beyond that, aka pull the plug out of the matrix and go beyond it, which is to rise back into a state of awareness, or interacting on the level of the gods, which is a level of awareness, which is being without thought, being without memory, and being not tied to any one individual physical vessel. Now, when he's talking about a ratio technique, or things being 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, we hold that there are 4 perspectives. So you can think of perspectives as the different types of viewing camera angles that you might see in either a video game or a movie that you watch. So first person perspective is going to be when you hold the most amount of connection with something, whether it's emotional, psychic, or spiritual. It's looking out of your own individual eyes, interacting with something around you. Second person perspective is going to be where it's someone, necessarily like a friend or something else, having a conversation with you on the same level, but it's a little bit removed because they're not interpreting it as their direct experience. Third person perspective is like the fly on the wall. It's going to be looking down at an example where they have no connection, anything going on as far, but they are on the same level playing field. So they're still existing within the same world. Fourth person perspective is when you are looking down like the gods from above, beyond the heavens, beyond the creation, and looking down, and everything is like a chessman on a board, and you have complete unbiased viewpoint of everything that's going on, all of their thought processes and the environment. So that's when he's saying we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. When he's saying we have to have a 4-3, 4-2, 4-1, we talk about this in previous videos in our technique of the first technique, which is separating the soul from awareness and walking a path of dual experience. This allows you to exist here in the matrix on the soul level, while allowing your awareness to be awake behind the scene to do your spiritual growth. We never want our spiritual growth to take place from a soul level, because that causes lots of problems. We talk about this in our other videos, not other podcasts. So what's happening is that while our soul is maintaining first, second, and third perspective here, our awareness must always be in a fourth person perspective in God mode, being aware of everything around us. So we call it a ratio technique of our awareness must always be enabled to prevent us from being fully reabsorbed into the matrix on first, second, or third person, and forgetting that we exist in both levels. So that was a lot to catch up on. Hopefully that was a for dummies version in a very quick amount of time.
Okay, good amount of information. So going back to the hard answer. The hard answer is, if you are within this pocket of light we know as consciousness, you're bound to your imagination alone, and the majority to all of your thought has no effect in your environment. Thought. Now, emotions do. Now, equally, everyone is spirit. We are spirit, which is within consciousness, it's self-awareness, it's memory, linked together within the soul, spirit, or the deity. Humans really only have access to the soul. They can tap into higher level stuff, but it's usually temporary. So with thought, you're not affecting your environment. With emotion, you are, or psychic abilities, you can sense beyond your body. And you can also have a projection of psychic abilities that can connect and interact, having a cause and effect. But most psychic abilities are point A to point B. They're not point A to everything. What we do is everything to point A. or an infinite amount of point A's. So if there is a person, 100 people, 1,000 people, a million people, a billion people, 7 billion people, this planet, all planets, this dimension, all dimensions, time and space, we are beyond in fourth person on all of these levels and interacting in first person. But first person for us, because we're fourth, is not fourth to one, it's fourth to everything around that one. So the hard answer is if you're in consciousness, you're an individual person using thought, you're not going to be able to resolve anything because you're going to try using thought. And thought is only your imagination. So therefore, everything you think is going on is a belief. What you're actually feeling or psychically connecting or psychically interacting with, what you feel, you interpret, and you interpret it in relation to your belief system. It feels great. You'll say, if you're a Christian, it's angels, it's Jesus, it's God. If you are the voodoo, you'll say something else. If you're into Indian philosophies or Native American philosophies, once again, you'll fit the feeling into a belief that you can associate and be okay with. So in the hard part, if you're using thought alone, you're not resolving anything. Sorry. This is why out of all the philosophies that are out there, and there's a crazy amount of spiritual philosophies, religious philosophies, scientific philosophies, how many do you hear about that people awaken to Christhood? You hear about one person in the philosophy, the philosophy based on that had risen or awakened to Christhood, but no more than that. In our philosophy, all have the opportunity to awaken to and rise to Christhood or greater. So when we do this from a state of awareness outside of beyond thought, we can interact, we can influence, we can change, we can manifest on an individual, universal, or collective scale because we're not using thought. So because we do it outside of consciousness, inwards, what we do has an effect. Thought with an imagination has no effect.
So kind of what we're talking about here is there's two levels. So there's the people who have taken, the red pill, who have been willing to go through the whole wild roller coaster ride of existing both within and outside of consciousness and existing in a level of insanity. Those are the people who are become our students and take the classes, and the people who want to go through life through what we call the learn, change, and grow pathway. They are maturing, they're growing in wisdom, but all they're doing is they are propelling themselves along a predetermined pathway of fate, karma, and destiny. So when you work on people that say, I've worked on reflecting people to see what's wrong in them so that I can see what's in myself. If you're only working on a level of consciousness, then yes, that's all that you have available to you. The problem is that anytime you make anything in relationship to yourself, you are magnifying all of the positive and the negative things of your life. You are magnifying all of the law of attraction, both the positive and the negative in every aspect of what's going on. So we try not to deal with that. And that's when we talk about in other sermons and lessons about relevancy. So what we're saying here is for those who have achieved the level of the first technique, all of this level of friction and everything else must be done outside of consciousness, utilizing your awareness so that you are seeing what this person is projecting um, about themselves. And by reflection, you can do work through that reflection. That reflection is not you. It is not how you define yourself. It's simply a probe, it's a sphere, whatever you're utilizing in the philosophy that we teach. For those of you who are listening who are not in our philosophy, you won't be as effective at breaking your cycle of reincarnation. You won't be as effective at changing the script that you're living, but you can make yourself ready for a higher or a better tier of relationships just by changing your thought process and recognizing that you are the problem in 99% of the things that happen, which we will talk about here in a moment. But that's the distinction that he's making, and that no real change is happening by you doing that, because you're just going to pass on at some point, reincarnate, and then just come back into the same wheel and repeat the same cycles from different standpoints. That's the aspect of no change that he's speaking about.
And it's also the people who practice magic. So now, two types of magic is in the world. There is ritualistic magic. I'm articulating my body to drink water or to eat food, and I'm following a ritual to achieve a result. Eat food, take a shower, brush my teeth. This is a ritual. I light a candle and I think about a prayer for a loved one. That's candle magic. If I do chanting, song, dance, drumming, these are rituals of magic. You could even have intimacy magic, where you're creating the energy between two people towards releasing a feeling, an energized sense, and then you release to the universe. And that also is how law of attraction works. I hold this very intense emotional feeling about something, and then I release to the universe, forget about it. And the releasing part gives the universe the chance to say, "Oh, this is what you want." And some people are very, very, very good at that law of attraction. Would you stop that, please? Some people are very, very good at magic. Some people are very, very powerful at ritualistic magic. And then there's what we do. It's the influence around the body as a state of awareness with and around your being. But the being is not the physical body, the soul, or consciousness. It's a state of awareness. The influences of energy with and around being in a constant of awareness. You may think, therefore it is, but it only works as a state of awareness beyond consciousness coming back inwards. And the reflection part that we talk about is you cannot look in the mirror or look in a scrying mirror and reflect the one-on-one. What we do is we have a reflection of all that life is, and there's the process that we go through to awaken our people up to it. And the interaction that we have is not with all that life is. The interaction we have is with the reflection we have of all that life is. If we interact with all that life is, it's going to be a psychic ability connection, which is going to put you in a place of thought. And how psychic abilities work is there is a project, there is a connect. The connect bounces back like a radar. It hits your soul. People will think it's their mind, and goes into an association. And through that association, they try to get a sense of what they're interacting with. We don't do that at all. That can be influenced. That can be deceived. We hold the reflection of everything and interact through the reflection. So there's no connection with our environment. There's no connection with the soul, spirit, or deity. There's no connection with an angel or a demon, ET. There's no connection with anything. We do all of our work through reflection.
So for those people who are in our apprenticeship classes, you will naturally move towards reflecting as you begin climbing higher up Jacob's ladder, which is doing all the journeying techniques that we do with the kingdoms of consciousness, because that process is part of what we call unbecoming, which means that you are no longer viewing all of your life as a relationship to you as an individual, but you are now having all of creation become an extension of you as you become a student of it, so that you have an infinite number of perspectives to choose and life experiences to draw from, because you are much more than yourself and you're coming up to the experience of what it means to reflect God, which is to be both and everything of everything in creation. And so, therefore, not any one thing, which makes it an indefinable experience, which allows you to reflect everything around you instantaneously. But there's a lot of people who are listening who may not have gotten to that point yet. So we're going to give them a perspective of friction on their level. So today I was reading an article from BuzzFeed which talked a little bit about how people recognize red flags of when to run away from a friendship. And there were 12 different comments from people, but by far the most repeated comment was people that are constantly into drama, people who only have negative things to share about themselves and other people, people who always make a situation about them. And what's funny is that almost everyone reading this article will probably say, "Oh, yeah, gee, I hate those kind of people." But you realize that you reach a level of maturity when you start reading an article like that and go, "Wait, I've done this with this person before in my life." Or, "Wait, I've had this experience where I've been the aggressor before." And until you reach that level, you recognize what you are doing that's negative, then you will not be able to grow, because even on the lower levels where you aren't reflecting anything, the karmic level of life does have a level of what we call the learn, change, and grow experience. And if you want something better in life, you have to become better yourself, because the way that law of attraction works is that you resonate with a certain level of frequency. This is the sum total of all of your experiences, your memory, your karmic ties, your past lives, your everything in your life puts out a frequency that rings out, and you repel the opposite of things that are opposite from your frequency and attract the things that are like it. And unfortunately, we lead ourselves to believe that we are these amazing, incredible people because we believe that we are the masks that we put out to the world around us, that we are these in single-minded people who are utilitarian or egalitarian. We want equality for everyone. We want to lift everyone up, but inside we have thoughts that are we are jealous of people because we think of how come they're making in life and I'm not, or we are stingy with our money because we believe in a place of lack, or all of these things add up to our sum total of experiences. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, if you are experiencing life a certain way, it's because of the level of frequency that you're putting out that life is bringing that back to you. And this leads into friction. The people who come into your life who are the extreme assholes are there to catch you off guard so that you don't realize that they are your greatest teachers in front of you. Because if you can begin to see why they are the way that they are, how they interact with other people, and then recognize it in yourself, leading you to make new behavior patterns for yourself. As soon as you begin to recognize the behavior in yourself, become aware of it, and make new behavior patterns, that's when you begin to, on a lower level, at least change your trajectory, change your frequency. And that's when that person will either become nice or they'll leave your life. And so that's for people who are on the lower level here, how you can put this into practice. This will only help you in this one lifetime. You'll have a reset upon your passing because you can't take it with you because you've done all the work within consciousness. But this is how you can at least work until you begin growing higher. Does that make sense, everything I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Another question I'm sure we're going to get from people a lot of time is, people will say, well, these people that are in my life, I don't really have anybody in my life. I'm a shut in. And one of the things in the article that I want to bring in is that friction can sometimes be with people who are no longer with us. They can be from our past, they can be from people who have passed on as well. And because of the nature of our life is not bound by time or space. So, can you speak a little bit about how friction works and how you recognize it from our past and people who may no longer be living with us or be alive at all?
Very common that I'll have a sense. Oh, you know, maybe I should call my mom or uh, one of my childhood friends. You know, may just pop into my mind or something to that effect. And what's happening is once we create a relationship with a person, object, location, event. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come here. Once we create a relationship with a person, object, location, or event, in the past, that past on a spiritual level does not recognize time and space. So that past event, person, location, uh, we can feel it all the time. It's no different than somebody step back saying, man, I go to my special place. I made this visit to this amazing island or this amazing place I go camping or this amazing temple that I think about. I just think about being there and I feel relaxed and calm. That's because that location, person, event, um, or object, kiddo, is a real-time event in your past, and it's constantly interacted with you. And any time, this is based on a script, it's based on our karma, it's based on our spiritual purpose. As we're going along, if we're going to veer off script, whether it's in a bad way or we veer off script in a much better way, our script is going to try and bring us back on, and we're going to get an alert either real time about something going on in our life or someone in our past or even energies related to a past life, a calling, I need to be here, I need to be there. I can't explain why. That's friction. You're being pinged, you're being called, you're veering off your script. So it's very interesting uh, in how life works. We have the negative stuff, we have the positive stuff, we have the higher spirits of guardian angels are here to keep us on script for what we agree to come in here for, what our overall script is about, our general timeline of relationships and family, the opportunity to resolve through lessons. We're all on script. We call this predeterminism. We view that because of your past, this life and past lives, and your higher spiritual stuff of why you chose to come in here in the soul body, the majority of everything you do is predetermined. So when people say, I'm doing law of attraction or I'm doing any of the other stuff, I want to manifest, I want to create, I want to do this. So whatever it is it in alignment with your script? Do you have this fall off left, fall off right? A friction person comes into your life. If you're not having any friction of people come into your life, you are creating something new. You're totally off script.
Most people aren't going to reach that point. Let's just
Okay.
so because and I say this because people who may be new here don't realize that Joseph is walking in a multidimensional way of life. So this body that you see in front of you right now is not a singular event. That's less than 0.000000% 0.1% of what he has going on. So sometimes I have to put it into language for other people. Um, most people that are here that'll be listening to this will be in a situation where they're not going to necessarily be completely creating something brand new in their life. But what will happen is let's use an example of you are trying to manifest something into your life which is currently not in alignment with your sum total of your past. One, it will be very difficult for you to bring that in because you'll be going against your undertow or your karmic pull. So everything in your life creates a certain level of momentum in a specific direction that you're headed in. If you're on a river and the river is moving against you where you're trying to go, it's going to take a lot more force for you to paddle against that river. The same thing with law of attraction. So this is why sometimes some people say, well, this person is just getting so much stuff that's so much easier than I am. Well, there's reasons. Maybe what they're manifesting is in exactly in alignment for what they're meant for in this life, but that also means that there's a lot of life lessons behind what they're bringing into their life as well. Because nothing ever comes into your life as a blessing, quote unquote, for free. There always has to be a check and a balance, and it's going to bring a lesson someone in that life that if they don't catch it, it's going to leave that person open for negative things to occur. So, with that in mind, from a friction standpoint, I want to just give a couple of pointers here as we kind of close out a little bit. Number one, friction is not a negative thing. um, Friction actually is necessary for as you're continuing to grow spiritually because as you grow, the temptation that we all have is coming from a human standpoint is we believe that growth is solely an upward thing and we're going to be leaving our bodies and we're going into higher and higher chakra levels. But the reality is that our soul should remain grounded and balanced in being here, and our awareness should be growing and not our souls. So the friction, the things that really grind our gears, actually have a positive effect because it naturally keeps us grounded in the present and naturally keeps us here because being pissed the fuck off with this person keeps us grounded and anchored in a certain level on a soul level. So you need friction to survive. And this is why we speak to our students of you can't afford to be a hermit. You can't sequester yourself away from the world. You need this friction. Even though it seems unpleasant to have these relationships, you can't run from your lessons because if you don't get them through what's already in your life through the relationships you have, life will throw it to you through a way you're unexpectedly to have it, which would come through things like a curse would end up providing friction for you, or a really bad witch's trap, or something crazy and bizarre because you have to have something to ground your upward level. Number two, friction can be positive because it causes you to have greater amounts of clarity in your life. If you don't have a backdrop of something to distract you from keeping your eyes always up in the clouds as you grow spiritually, you will miss what's right here in front of you. You will miss things when you have people in your life, the universe can use them to bring messages into your life. And it may not be messages like a fortune cookie, but it might be, I recognize that this person's doing something that I don't want to do. That's the message from the universe of how to avoid this failure. And we learn from the failures, not just of our own, but from those around us. And that's another way that we cheat the system into learning things with less time. Um, and there's a scripture where Jesus talks about with people, um, I believe it was they were going to stone the adulterous woman. And I believe it was Jesus, but he said, before you cast a stone, that he who's without sin cast the first stone. This is so important with us because when we walk a spiritual path, the universe and all the eyes, whether we're aware of it or not, is constantly watching us. We're constantly being watched by things above us. And they're constantly seeing, is this person ready for growth? And if you go through life without being challenged, without being beat down, without recognizing your own faults, your ego will overinflate and it will cause you to be sidetracked in dangerous ways multiple times over and over and over again. By having the friction, this person will help you to see your quote unquote sin, will help you to see the timber and the speck of dust within your own eye that you have to address first. And once you begin to address and change yourself first, then that's when you can begin to see the environment reflect the changes around you. Trying to change your environment without changing yourself first is like constantly trying to build water out of a sinking boat. And if we want our lives to change, we've got to change ourselves first. This is not a hunky dory message of love and light. This is a message of reality and truth and fact that what you put out is what will come back to you. Did you want to add anything else to this message, Mr. Joseph?
The only thing I do want to add, uh, so we'll talk about the Christ aspect, and we'll talk about all the work that we do. We'll talk about ego, transcending the ego, the different things that we get into in the philosophy of our work. But probably one of the most important things I want to impress upon people is that for me, for this philosophy that we have, 9JRD, if you're seeking a spiritual person to follow, you want them to have been exposed to everything there is, not exposed to scripture only. So people will come and say, I'd like to quote scripture with you, bro. I don't know the Bible. Ben, the co-host here, knows the Bible fairly well. Not everything, but he knows a good chunk. My experience is having studied everything that's out there, having studied when you go beyond the place where knowledge dries up. I'm not talking about the hidden path with hidden knowledge and hidden abilities and occultism and all spiritualism and all the stuff that's out there. I'm talking way beyond that. I'm talking the unbecoming outside of consciousness, the bridge between what we can become or unbecome back to source God. That bridge from this pocket to the infinite. It's incredibly important that you, or for me anyways, not for you, but for me, that you follow, or in our case, until you become a master, you walk beside as an equal, someone who's been through everything, literally everything. All the work that I do for healing work, I have been personally afflicted with it myself. All of the spiritual stuff that I teach, I've gone through it. And the importance about this, and Ben will say the equivalent of that for everybody else's life is a teacher. And it is 100%. How can I guide somebody through something that they're exposed to if I haven't been through it myself? Excluding with the caveat, addiction. I can't help a person with addiction. And there may be one or two other small things that I can't help. And I'll tell a person up front, can't help them. But what I'm getting back to is you want to follow someone who doesn't blame you, is there to support you, can help heal you, resolve, guide, mentor, but also give you the space to make mistakes And ultimately, my greatest legacy is not me ascending limitlessly. It's having everyone I work with have that same opportunity and to achieve it. That's what they want to do, because we need more Christ on the planet. We need more people to walk our path. And for our people, friction is a phenomenal thing. Don't shy away when you get around people. You're like, oh, you cringe. Oh my God, there's an opportunity there. And the beauty is, as you go through the levels of experience, these same people will periodically pop into your life because you've matured, but there's still a lesson on a greater level, different perspective, same person, object of location, and event. You're at a higher level, you're more mature emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. These individual or very similar people, object, location, events will pop back in for you to see something in a whole new perspective you never saw before. And don't sit back and say, oh, this person say, wow, thank you for coming back in my life. What gift do you have of reflection inside of me, friction, so I can change and become. And I will tell you, 35 years in, from when I first became a master on this path, um, everybody around me has seen me grow leaps and bounds emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. And once again, I'm just a guy. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, you all, for listening to this sermon. We will come back with you with another sermon again for October. Those of you who are students, you have our email addresses to reach out to us for questions regarding what we discussed here. Those of you who have listened to this and want to get more information on what the next step would be, if you want to attend a sample class, if you want to know the things that we talk about or learn, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to Joseph, Joseph, at justaguyjoseph.com. So Joseph at justaguyjoseph.com. And you can reach out about your questions and things that you want to know more about beginning the apprenticeship or the things that we teach within it. Until next time, we will be available on our socials and our emails and also where you are watching this video. Take care.
Oh, also, if you don't forget, we added a phone number to the last page, to the contact page, bottom right. If you're just a guy, Joseph.
Okay, yeah, so you can also reach out via phone on that website, justaguyjoseph.com. We host our sermons and things like that. If you sign up to become a member, those are available on our I'veAwakened.com website.